Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in today's episode. Today we have Gilda Mitat with us. She is a true testament to the versatile and dynamic spirit of a veteran turned entrepreneur. Her journey from a disciplined career as a hospital corpsman in the United States Navy to a successful business owner is a narrative of resilience, innovation, and leadership. After her military service, Gilda transitioned into corporate America, which of course I'm going to ask questions about, where she climbed the ranks, honing her skills in project management and operational strategy. Now, I'm going to have her talk a little bit more about her background and her bio, but today Gilda owns and operates a CBD Relief, a hemp retail shop in San Antonio, showcasing her ability to diversify and adapt to different business sectors. So her journey isn't just about transitioning from military to corporate to entrepreneurship, but it's also her ability to identify opportunities and create innovation solutions. So, Gilda, I am so excited that you are here to talk about entrepreneurship and transitioning and all of that good stuff.
How you doing today, Brittany? Thank you for having me.
So let me start off. We're talking about Women Serve Too. What made you join the military? And what did you do? And how is your experiences?
Well, I'm originally from South Florida, Miami, Florida. Cuban, first generation with a college degree. I hit my 20s and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really have a lot of opportunity. I didn't see a lot of, things, and I knew I was meant for more. So I joined the Navy. I wanted to travel the world. I was attracted to their Hospital Corpsman program because I liked the medical field. And so I joined. I became a hospital corpsman and it was fantastic. It was the best thing I ever did.
How long did you serve?
Well, I served 5 years, but I am LGBTQ. And during the time, all around me, there were ridiculous situations of friends that I knew. I knew a lieutenant that got kicked out of the military because somebody took a picture of her kissing a woman. And she had 18 years in and transitioned from enlisted to officer. She went to the officer candidate program. She was incredible. My mentor. She believed in the military. She was fantastic. She always helped. And she got kicked out, dishonorable discharge. And had just gotten injured and there was several things happening. And so I decided to leave at my 5 years. I served my 5 years and got out. But I would have stayed in the military if it wasn't for that. I enjoyed the military. I enjoyed the structure of it and the opportunities that it gives people, in particular women.
I cannot believe that happened. Like, I'm just so shocked that 18 years. And was this before the Don't Ask, Don't Tell was gone?
Don't Ask, Don't Tell was active. I was in from 97 to 2002. My 5 years were during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And it wasn't so much part of my identity. When I first joined the military, I didn't realize that I was, a lesbian. I was just and then while in the military, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm a lesbian and I'm in the military. What am I supposed to do about this? Mm-hmm. And, there was all kinds of stories around me of things people dishonorably discharged. And, I had a good reputation in the military and there was a lot of things that I wanted to do with my life. So I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was vulnerable to mean people. I mean, there was all kinds of people calling the base on people. I saw this person at a gay club and, all kinds of crazy things like that were happening. So I said, you know what, I'm getting out because I'm not going to get caught up in this. Otherwise, I would have remained 20 years and I probably would have made a huge difference in the military because, again, I really enjoyed what I was doing and I was good at it.
Well, it looks like you're already making a difference, even though it's not in the military form. I know you got out and you decided to go into the corporate world before being an entrepreneur. So how did you transition from military to corporate?
Let me tell you, it was difficult. There isn't, we get the TAPS class and, you get out, you thinking that you're going to do the same thing that you were doing in the military. And that's not exactly what happened. I was a corpsman. I wanted to work in a hospital setting and I applied, literally in every single hospital, every single clinic. I think in South Florida, Miami in particular, Hialeah, where I'm from, people don't really understand what a military resume brings. And I think a lot of people were having difficulties translating my resume into that particular job, even though I thought I had done a good job explaining it. I didn't get a job in the hospital environment, and I ended up getting a job as an executive assistant with a fantastic woman, Leilani Cardoso. She was the CFO of Duty Free World, and she was launching a handbag line. They had a duty free company all over the world. So it was very attractive for me. I traveled with her. I stayed with Duty Free World for almost 6 years and learned so much about the corporate world. All women owned, all the mother, the daughter. I think it was 5 levels down, and it was all women. So it was a fantastic environment, but there was only so much I can do in that environment because, daughter was the XO, mom was the CO, and I can't go beyond that. And I was just starting my career. So then I made a jump from there to Burger King. I became a district manager for QSRs. First sales, profit, and operations coach, then district manager, then director of operations. And then from there, I ended up starting my own thing.
So what made you decide to start your own business?
Just the experience in corporate America. I thrived in the environment, but I wasn't respected for what I was bringing to the table. I felt in many occasions it was flipped for me there. It was all men for the most part, and there were not all of them, but I had several experiences there that I was very, very close to thinking about a lawsuit even. But, I moved on and learned from it, gained from it, grew from it, and started my own business from there. But that's not really the reason I left. The reason I left was I wanted to move to Texas, and there was an opportunity in Texas. And so I came to Texas. It was part of it. It was part of the decision, but it wasn't the reason I left. So I came to Texas, and I worked here very shortly for a franchisee and kind of experienced the same thing, a lot of machismo in the industry. And I said, you know what, there's so much opportunity in Texas, in particular in San Antonio, to start your own business. It was ripe for all different kinds of businesses. So I immediately quit Burger King, started a consulting firm where I went and helped franchisees, because the QSRs don't provide a lot of help to franchisees just starting out. They buy the license and they say, okay, come train with us, and then you're off on your own. And a lot of, they need a patch. So I became that patch with local QSRs in the area. And I did that until COVID. I did that, and it simultaneously launched CBD Relief online. And so I did both of them, and I was doing fantastic with the consulting, and then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I couldn't do the consulting anymore. And then from there, I bought a farmer's market, because I said, okay, well, the essential businesses are the only ones that can continue to conduct business. So how do I own an essential business? And so I was part of the farmers market circuit at the time, because I was doing CBD Relief. And on the weekends, we were selling our CBD products at a farmers market. So I ended up buying that farmers market from that gentleman when COVID hit, because he was very confused as to what to do. He was scared like everybody else was. And I had a background in operations, and I had a background in health. So I felt very comfortable putting together a safe environment for the community in an essential business where people can continue to thrive and make money and feed their families. And so I started Bandera Market. I rebranded his market, and we launched Bandera Market May 2020. And it went from 20 vendors to 120 vendors. We became a brand name in the area. It was so successful. I mean, people were telling me that I helped them save their home because they were fired. Both the wife and the husband were fired. They were waiting on unemployment. So many families came to the market to be able to thrive during COVID. And if you ask many of the people that were involved, many of the businesses, small businesses, some of them started during COVID, and many of those people didn't go back to work at all. They stayed with the business they started during COVID. I had a flight attendant who was fired or whatever, furloughed, I think is what they called his situation. He started a puppy clothing line, and he was making thousands of dollars on the weekend. I mean, it was incredible. So we did that until 2023. And during that time, I realized that there was a gap in the farmers market software industry. I was running my market with multiple softwares and multiple things. And so I transitioned into making a software for farmers markets and events. We're about to launch now in March. And it's a whole software for vendors to make sure that they don't get scammed by farmers markets, and also for farmers markets and event companies to run and organize their events and farmers markets. So we're about to launch that. And then we still have CBD Relief going on. We have a location here in San Antonio, Bandera Point Shopping Center. It's called the Wellness Wagon by CBD Relief. All our salespeople are certified CBD coaches. I work there, 10 to 20 hours a week to get to know our customers. And that's me in a nutshell.
That's amazing. I have so many questions. So I'm definitely going to, we are definitely going to dive into the CBD aspect of the business. But you mentioned, obviously with COVID and, kind of transitioning and evolving your business, how, coming from a entrepreneur aspect, how important is it to constantly evolve your business to the times and to the needs of people?
Oh my gosh, for sure. Well, I mean, that's true from the beginning of Bandera Market all the way to the end. I mean, you have to be aware of what customers are telling you and what the community needs, and provide what the community needs and take away what the community doesn't want, because then you won't be successful. I mean, with Bandera Market, I was in the position where the guy who was running the market would say, well, we're going to close down. And where I was like, well, I can't open my store because it's not essential, but farmers markets are, but you're not, how come you're not doing anything about that? And so I saw a huge opportunity. I mean, I was so sure that this was going to be successful because it was what the community needed at the right moment. And man, if the people are ever lucky enough to see a business opportunity it was such a duh moment for me, that's like, it was a no-brainer, then jump on it. I mean, don't think twice. I mean, that's just one of those things that if you pass it up, you're going to be kicking yourself forever. And then in the end, we ended up closing Bandera Market because of all of a sudden you could throw a rock and there were 20 farmers markets, that you would hit. And it was after COVID. It wasn't such a need anymore. People were back to work. There was too much competition. And I saw a bigger opportunity for me as a businesswoman with the software of it, because it's more passive. You don't have to break your back every weekend to, monitor a farmer's market, even though I had employees and everything. Farmers markets are hard work. People work hard in those things. And, I have military injuries and, my physical body isn't as healthy and young as it used to be. So, I always think about, can I continue to do this for another 2, 5, 10, 15 years? And the answer was no. I said, no, I want to sit back and handle the software aspect of the business.
So it sounds like you have kind of like your hand in so many different types of businesses. Like, what made you kind of expand your portfolio instead of being not narrow-minded, but more focused on, say, just, farmers markets or just essential oils or just CBD?
I think if you look at any millionaire or any person of money, they're not just doing one thing. There's multiple streams of income is really how you change the family dynamic of building generational wealth. If you want to build generational wealth for you and your family, then that diversifying the flows of income is definitely something that's very important, because COVID is a perfect example. At the time we were doing the consulting and we were doing the CBD, and the consulting went away like that. And it was my most lucrative at the time because we had just started CBD. It was 2017. Not a lot of people knew about CBD. It required a lot of education for people. So, the CBD company was very slow in the uptake while I did the consulting thing. Having said that, I did plan on diversifying it out to some employees and, focusing on the CBD company while 2020 was coming in. My wife was going to quit her job as well. She's an occupational therapist, and we were both going to dedicate me to the consulting and her to the CBD full time, because we were already doing well enough to be able to do that. Then COVID hit after she quit, by the way. She quit January, and then March, we find out about COVID, and now none of us have a job. And this guy's saying, I'm going to sell I'm going to close down the market. And I said, no, 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 we need a way to continue to make income. And so I was one of those people. So, we were all in the same place. So, the environment of Bandera Market was actually very beautiful because it was the community coming together, which was another energy about it that made it so successful.
I love that because you're right. Like any millionaire does have diversity. And sometimes I do think it takes like a special entrepreneur business mindset to see those opportunities because they also say like Best Buy, one of the reasons why Best Buy didn't, stay in business was because they didn't evolve to the whole, Netflix, online streaming type of businesses. So evolving is so important to maintain in that generational wealth. You mentioned, you started your CBD in 2017, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I know CBD has been becoming more and more popular over the last few years. What made you decide to choose CBD?
It was a personal experience. All this stuff was happening with corporate America. I moved to Texas. I was experiencing that kind of environment that I wasn't happy with. I felt like I wasn't making a difference in the world. The corporate thing was just not something that was fulfilling me. And simultaneously, my wife's grandfather was dying of cancer. And she was a big believer in cannabis and plant, the power of any plant versus pharmaceuticals. And so she's very into that. And so she found this one product that we gave her grandfather. He was on his deathbed, dying, and we gave him this product. It didn't miraculously save his life, but it gave him quality for the months that he had left. And to me, it was just so miraculous the way that I saw that product and the way that he reacted to it. I was like, this is it. This is it. And sat in front of the computer probably for about a year. This was in 2016. This was a year before. And I spent a year doing research on CBD, the history, learning. There's a patent for CBD that the government owns.
Really?
Yes, during this time. And, realizing how much they've lied to us. And I said, you know what? This is it. And I learned everything I could. I went to as many courses as I could, went to as many conferences as I could, became as knowledgeable as I could, and started the business. We've been in business since 2017. We opened our location October 2020. Our location is not a brick and mortar, by the way. It's called the Wellness Wagon. It's a little wagon that's parked in the middle of a parking lot. It has electricity, has a bathroom, it has water, it has everything. It's just a wagon. It's not a brick and mortar. So we pulled up, we created electricity, we attached water. That way, if it's an investment. It's not a brick and mortar that you have to sink all the money into and lose it, which is another thing that's happening in the world, by the way. Brick and mortars are not doing well these days. So a lot of innovative business owners are doing things like that, farmers market parks, food truck parks, and things like that are becoming more and more popular now.
I think I did see a picture of the wagon and it is very cool and it is definitely innovative. And you're right, the brick and mortar is going away. Malls are becoming extremely vacant. So in order, Amazon's great, but like some people want to try things before buying it. And so it's still necessary to like still almost have that physical ability to do so. So I love that you're so innovative that way. Tell us a little bit more about the benefits of CBD.
Well, CBD, I always like to call the CBD is like the natural anti-inflammatory. It helps with inflammation, pain, sleep. It helps. Let me back up. It helps with a lot of things because people like to make a lot of claims about CBD without saying why, and that's where they lose people. I think one of the piece that's missing for people is people understanding that we do have an entire system in our body that binds to these cannabinoids. It's called cannabinoids, CBD, THC. There's 120 different types of cannabinoids in the hemp plant. The hemp plant and the marijuana plant are cousins. Call them cousins. Same way that there's 100 different types of tomatoes or mangoes or different, types of fruit. The same thing. The cannabis plant has different types of plants, one of which is the hemp plant. We have a system in our body called the endocannabinoid system that binds to cannabinoids. And so that's why it's so effective in so many different areas of our body. And so we have the CB1 receptors that are in our brain and in our spine. That's what attaches to THC, and that's why we get high. So as long as you don't consume THC, it doesn't attach to the CB1 receptor, and so therefore you don't get high from it. So that's why CBD is so popular. It helps with a whole variety of different things, and it's just amazing. We've seen so many, all the way to dogs. Right now, we think my dog has a brain tumor, and the only treatment is to do a $6,000 MRI, and then do brain surgery to your dog, and it's going to cost you $30,000. I mean, what can you do? So we started giving her very, very high amounts of CBD, and the results have been incredible. And I learned every single day new things about it just for that reason, because I'm like, well, let's try CBD, and it works. So I think it's an amazing product. If you come by our store, all our staff are certified CBD coaches. So I send them all to a class. They have to take the class. They have to pass the test in order to become our employee. So it's very important, coming from a military background, in health background, and also education background. I was a health educator in the military. It's very important to me to educate people, more important than sell them anything, so that maybe they find something better down this, or cheaper down the street, 10 miles from me, and they don't want to have to come all the way back. They know how to walk into a place and purchase CBD and be knowledgeable of CBD. So feel free to come by our store, and our staff can help answer any questions you have regarding CBD directly for your situation. We don't give medical advice. We're not doctors. We obviously can't make medical claims, but we can certainly try our best to answer any of your questions.
I had no idea with so much of that. So thank you for sharing that expertise. And I love that you make your employees know that too, because I'm a health and fitness coach. So, I understand supplements, but when you go into certain supplement stores, they have no idea what they're talking about. They're just trying to sell product.
Yeah.
So it is nice to hear that, and especially with something that either you put on your body or you put in your mouth, that person is knowledgeable enough to tell that customer. Is that one of the things that makes your CBD business different? What other ways is your CBD business different?
Well, I already mentioned the location's a little bit different. So because, I remember when we were in 2017, when we were looking for a brick and mortar, they wanted 50 grand just to walk in through the door. And that's money you lose, and for a small business, that's huge. So we had to find an innovative way to offer our product to the public without having to raise our prices. And so that's one of the ways that we do it, is our footprint is smaller. We don't need a huge space to sell CBD. And so our prices are very, reasonable. And, you get points. We have all sorts of veteran programs and all sorts of ways we make it cheaper for people. The other thing was the education piece. I mean, we've gone around to nursing homes and done classes for them on how to shop for CBD. What is CBD? What, fake, there's so much fake products out there. Shark Tank CBD, that's never existed. CBD's never been in Shark Tank. People call me all the time, and I saw the Shark Tank CBD. I'm like, it doesn't exist, you guys, and so there's so much fraud out there. And then what happens, there's these ones that send them the free sample and then keep their credit card and continue to charge them every month. There's all sorts of scams that are happening, in particular to the elderly. And so that really pisses us off. And so we go around to the nursing homes, and we did it a lot pre-COVID. We've tried to get back into it now after COVID, and we're still waiting to be able to start that back up. But we loved doing that, and we look forward to continue to do that. That's definitely one of the other ways. Also, we do a lot of farmers markets. We go out into the community. We do a lot of education in the community. So, community is important to us, and we want the community to be educated on this topic.
So with CBD, there's obviously kind of almost like a stigma, and especially when it comes to the military community, oh, it's, hemp, it's marijuana, which you already explained that they're just like cousins.
Yeah.
And you explained a little bit more about that, but how can veterans or even military members who are in access safe and affordable CBD?
Well, for active duty, it's tricky because I know that they've sent the thing where they can't touch it at all. Because what's happening is this: you have to be careful where you get your product. Some products say no THC at all, and they actually have a trace amount of THC because their limit, it's supposed to be 0.3% THC or less. And so their limit, let's say, is zero point 0.2 or zero point 0.1. And so they put it on the lab report as non-detectable, even though it does have a detectable. And so if you consume it every single day, it could build in your body, depending on when the drug test is. The THC can build in your body even at those levels. So the first thing is, if you are active duty, you want to do an isolate products only. Isolates mean that they pull the broad spectrum is another one, but I'll talk about broad spectrum in a second. But the isolate, they pull the CBD out of the plant. So there's no THC at all in that. So there's no risk whatsoever, and there's no test now for CBD. They're looking for THC. There's also a type called broad spectrum. Broad spectrum, what they do is they take away the THC and leave everything else behind. And so if the extraction process is not where it should be, they can leave some THC behind. So it has to be lab tested. They carry brands that have been around for 20 years. These guys know what they're doing. There's no risk in, oops, there's some THC in there. The risk comes with these boutique brands that are doing the CBD bottles in the garage, and, it's not very GMP certified, and, all these things. You need to be careful. You shouldn't be buying CBD in a gas station. You shouldn't be buying CBD, at a nightclub. Things like that should be purchased at a place where people know what they're doing. They're carrying reputable brands. They can back up the product with a lab report, et cetera, et cetera. So being careful where you buy it, making sure you buy THC free, looking at lab reports, things like that. Now, the veterans, it's so much easier for the veterans, unless they have a government job. One thing I wanted to say for the veterans is this: you don't need the medical card, at least here in Texas. It's so expensive to get it. And at least for now, at hemp shops, at least the hemp shops that know what they're doing can offer you something just as good for half the price. I had a friend of mine that was a good customer of ours. He wanted to get into the program just because he got into the program, came back with the stuff that they gave him, and it was ridiculous what he paid. And he goes, you were right. Yeah, I just wanted to see what it was about. I wanted to see what the program was about. But I told him, don't do it. It's too expensive. It's not worth it right now, at least not in Texas. In other places, the THC limits versus what the hemp shops could sell, there's enough disparity between one and the other where it's worth getting the license. But here in Texas, it's not. The hemp shops are selling stuff that will help you, unless you're needing huge amounts of THC a day. And in that case, then maybe you do need a license. But I would say go into a reputable hemp shop first before getting your license, because it's so expensive. It's just so expensive.
So I know you mentioned kind of the benefit of CBD being a anti-inflammatory product. What do you see a lot of people coming in and using CBD for?
See, with CBD, you're not allowed to make medical claims, but I will tell you what some of my customers are using it for. The variety is so big, all the way from, like I mentioned, my dog. I have several people who give it to their dogs for inflammation. For not Fourth of July, New Year's was one of our busiest day with pet products because people were coming in buying for the fireworks for New Year's for the anxiety for their animals. I mean, that works fantastic. With my grandfather, the cancer, the side effects with the cancer, I have people who buy our CBD water who are taking chemotherapy, who the CBD water helps with the side effects of the chemotherapy. I have people who take it for glaucoma. I have people who take it for just their blood sugar. I have people who take it. The most popular are pain and sleep. Pain, sleep, and anxiety are the three most popular people who come into the store. But I mean, every day I learn something new that it can do.
Yeah, the more I'm learning about it myself, obviously not to the depth that you know, but it seems to be a better option to try than obviously being on medications or whatever else the doctors are slightly pushing. I know you can't make medical claims,
Yeah,
but
no.
uh, it's like obviously we're going to put that in there. You cannot, this is not a medically claimed episode,
Yeah.
but, she has seen people that, use CBD for a, a variety of different things.
Yes. And people don't realize that regular medicine, any type of, or not any, but many types of medicine, if you trace it back, Valium, for example, it's made out of valerian root, and there's all kinds of different pharmaceuticals. When you break down the components, it's made out of plant matter, things that are beneficial, and they're making them pharmaceuticals. Yes, obviously, I'm not against medicine and I'm not against pharmaceuticals, but, you know, with everything going on in the world, if there's a way to take care of your body that's more natural, that doesn't, sometimes these commercials, the side effect part of the commercial is longer than the benefit part of the commercial. I mean, and when you look at these natural products and you look at the side effects, most of the time they're positive side effects. So it just makes no sense to me to continue. For me personally, I was in the military, had an injury on my way out. Oh, by the way, that's another reason I got out. I had an injury. And instead of going through the injury in the military, I rescind my reenlistment because I had reenlisted. I had reenlisted for another 3 years, and I decided I'm getting out. But I had an injury, a really bad one, on my way out of the military. And I was on all kinds of opioids, pharmaceuticals, all kinds of stuff. And there was all sorts of I blew up to 250 pounds after the military. The side effects were crazy. And one day I just said, no more. I'm not doing any more of these drugs. And thankfully CBD came into my life, and now I don't do any pharmaceutical, for pain at least.
That's awesome to hear. And you're right about like the different side effects. So after my kids, I had postpartum depression. And so I asked to be on an antidepressant. And one of my friends suggested, and I always say this wrong, Wellbutrin.
Mm-hmm.
But so she was like hyping this, antidepressant up. And I was like, okay, I'll try this one instead of, the previous one, because the previous one affected my libido. And so I wanted to try something different. And I had a horrible, horrible reaction to it. I was having these mind numbing migraines, and I would feel tingliness and numbness on half of my body. And when I talked to my PCM about it, he was like, well, we don't know if it's your antidepressant. And so he sends me to a neurologist, and he's like testing me, and he was like, no, it's not your antidepressant. It's just migraines. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stop taking this. Like it's the only thing, obviously besides having just delivering twins, I was like, this is the only thing different that I'm putting in my body. And the neurologist was like, no, you're just having migraines. And then so I just stopped taking it, and miraculously my migraines. And so I agree. The side effects, affect everyone differently. And that's why one of the reasons I have been kind of looking into, the CBD option, because I also have anxiety. So I know, I'm like, do you have online products, or are you just at your wagon?
No, I have a website, CBDRelief.Care.
Okay, so I'm clearly going to probably try some of your products. But how does your business help veterans?
That is one of our biggest customer. We have a lot of veterans. Since I'm a veteran, I go to a lot of veteran events and things like that. We have a lot of veterans. So anything from PTSD to, those are the three things that veterans go through: PTSD, sleep, and pain. Those are the three big categories. So we have a whole variety of things. We have no THC. We have with THC. We have, intoxicating stuff. We have non-intoxicating stuff. All legal, all lab tested. Landscape for Hemp Retail is changing on a daily basis. A couple months ago, there's a product called THCO that was helping a lot of veterans. one of the things that THCO does is it lasts a long time. THC sometimes when the intoxicating part of it doesn't last very long, and especially with some people with PTSD. And so it was THCO was helping a lot of veterans with PTSD in particular. And it was legal to be sold here in Texas. All of a sudden, the DEA woke up one morning, literally one morning, somebody woke up and said, THCO is illegal.
Wow, okay.
I have 5,000 products worth of THCO on the shelf that I had to just... And all my veterans are like, what now? And so we're constantly trying to find solutions to these situations. We ended up finding another THC product for them. But yeah, it's a changing landscape, and we try to keep up, and we're very, very knowledgeable of the industry. So if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
That's crazy to me. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, how you have to, adjust and transition to, different policies, different times, different situations. So how does, being a veteran affect you and your business?
Well, being a veteran, I think being in the military instills, for most people that I know, instills a you can do anything attitude in us. You get to boot camp and you're like, holy cow, what did I do? And you get through it. And then all of a sudden you're, for people whose job, I was responsible for a military hospital at 27 at night. Any admins, any discharge, it was all me. I was responsible for making sure that people got care. I mean, there's some, people in their 20s running, giant machinery, and they're doing things that they would have never imagined that they can do. And so that instills a certain confidence in you as a person that I think people who have never been in the military don't understand it. We really do feel like we can do anything. And so that affects every aspect of every decision that I make. But also, I understand the veterans. I understand the veteran community now, and I understand their needs. And their needs haven't been getting met for quite some time, in particular, female veterans, and that's why we're here. But, I try my best to help veterans in any way that I can, because I know that their needs aren't being met.
Are there resources for veterans wanting to start a business?
There's IVMF. IVMF is the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. That is a fantastic resource for people just coming out of the military. They have several different programs. I went through their Entrepreneur Bootcamp for Veterans. Tell them Gilda sent you. I think they're having one now, or their applications are open now. It's the IVMF website. I think it's ivmf.gov or .com. And in there, you'll see all their different programs. There's stuff from taking classes online to going physically to a business boot camp. There's boot camps for people who are just starting off. There's boot camps for people who are, who have a $5 million company. And so there's huge resources there. Now they have the Edge, which is in March, where all the veterans get together who are business owners. And it's a big conference where they bring in all different types of learning, speeches and free books and all kinds of resources there. So that's a great resource. Your local Geekdom is one here, or Bunker Labs are great places for veterans. There's also the local veterans business. Their job is just to help you start your business for veterans. SCORE is another great one. SCORE, SCORE is a great one that they do all sorts of mentorships for veterans, for businesses. And then there's the local Center for Women and Entrepreneur in Texas here. I have one of their mouse pads. Women entrepreneurs in Texas. Texas Women's University is a great resource for women entrepreneurs who are veterans. The list goes on and on and on. If you are interested in starting a business and you're a veteran, get tapped into your local community. Google, your city veteran entrepreneur, and there's a whole variety of local resources for you. And if not, reach out to IVMF. And reach out to IVMF. By the way, the program, Entrepreneur Bootcamp for Veterans, EBV, all you have to do is get there. They pay for everything else. They pay for your hotel. They pay for your food, everything. 2 weeks. The program that I went to was at Texas A&M. So I'm basically alumni of Texas A&M now. Great program, great people.
So how do they pay for it? Is it just through the program itself, donations?
Their big sponsor is Reynolds Corporation. Reynolds Corporation believes in veterans, and so they sink a lot of money into that program. But yeah, it's just grants that they get. Reynolds is mostly who funds them. I just got an email to go as an alumni to help their new students coming through. So not only do you go through the program as a veteran wanting to start a business, but then once you're on the other end of it, you come back as an alumni to help the students coming in. So it's a great program.
So you just got to show up. Like you don't have to apply or anything.
You have to apply and you have to be selected. But it's not one of these things. They always have space. Not enough people are taking advantage of these things. So yeah, definitely take advantage of it. It's the EBV. There's one that's for women called VWise. VWise is for women only. And you can do it if you're a woman veteran or a wife of a veteran and you have your own business. So that one is there too, because the wives and the husbands of military people, they go through a lot. And so there's resources there for them as well.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
No, IVMF is fantastic. Great group of people. I love them. I haven't been as involved last year as I should have been, but this year again, I'm going to make sure that I at least go to a couple of the alumni things.
You just like I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to look into all of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness. So kind of wrapping up, I like to usually finish with, if someone was only going to get the very end of your episode, what would you want their takeaway to be?
Take away the fear. Don't make decisions based out of fear. You can do it. The military showed you that you can do it, ladies. You can do it. It's just a matter of just making this decision, taking the fear out of it and doing it.
That's kind of how I feel now with trying to do this podcast. I'm meeting all these amazing women, and sometimes you just got to do it. You just, stop waiting for the perfect time, because there's never going to be a perfect time. And you've shown us, like, sometimes if you see an opportunity, take it before, you regret it.
There's nothing like living in your truth. There's nothing like living life without fear, because once that happens, once you are doing what you love, and everything just starts clicking, and things just start building from there. So don't be afraid to follow. And even if you fail, you know how much money I've lost in the process of all this whole thing? And you fail, and so what? You learn from it and you become a better businesswoman, and you don't make the same mistake again. It's all part of the process.
We don't fail backwards, we fail forwards.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Gilda, thank you so much for doing this. If people wanted to get into contact with you, what are the best ways to reach you?
Sure. This phone number, you can either call or text 210-366-4380. That's our phone number. Call. Our store is open Tuesday through Sunday. So our customer service is not available on Monday. So anytime between 10 and 8, you can call or text that number, 210-366-4380. Our website is www.cbdrelief.care. And our email is info@cbdrelief.care.
I love that. I'm definitely going to be checking out your website and definitely trying to get some product, because I'm a firm believer in, supporting female veteran companies. So you do have a free gift possible, correct? You want to talk about that?
So if the 750 milligram roll-on, it's one of our best products. It's great. It's one of these products that are safe for military folks for pain. It's you put it on. I use it twice a day. I have feet pain, and I use it at the bottom of my feet twice a day. For the first 5 orders and this is a $50 product. For the first 5 orders that spend $100, you get a free $50 product. Okay, and the code is going to be, what do you think, Brittany? What should we make the code? What's the name again?
Women serve too. I mean, that might be too long.
You served.
I
You
like
served.
it.
Okay, you served. I'm gonna that discount code is gonna be live in the next 15 minutes. You served. You spend $100. You get a free $50 product.
And I will put that in the show notes and I will put all of the links in there. So if you guys are wanting to try it out, like she said, it is military could do it. It's so no worries there. Spend $100, get a $50 product. Like I'm probably going to do that right now. So this has been amazing and so eye-opening. I didn't know so much about CBD, and now I'm like so excited to try these products. But thank you for sharing your expertise from transitioning, from adjusting your business model, and just all of the knowledge that you have. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany. I appreciate you taking the time with me.
Thank you, everyone who is listening to this episode. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to her. Otherwise, thank you for listening, and we will talk next week.